The widow of an Afghan man is suing National Geographic over one of its Emmy award-winning documentaries, alleging her husband, Omar Khan, was tortured and killed by the Taliban after his identity was revealed in the film, according to the widow's attorney.
He was tortured, beaten, left to die.
The 2022 documentary, titled Retrograde, follows the final chaotic months of America's 20-year war in Afghanistan and features Khan as he worked among a group of Afghan mine clearers. A wrongful death lawsuit filed in California Superior Court named several companies behind the film as defendants, including Disney, National Geographic, and Hulu. The lawsuit alleges military personnel warned defendants about safety concerns regarding the identities of individuals who had assisting U.S. operations appearing in the film. Despite these warnings, defendants did not take appropriate measures to protect the identities.
When the documentary was finished and cut, concerns were raised by Special Forces and former Special Forces personnel about the danger that those people would be in if the faces weren't blurred or something was done to protect their identity.
Khan's attorney says his client was seized by the Taliban and tortured for over 2 weeks after social media clips circulated in Afghanistan showing scenes from the film. We have blurred some of the faces in the video to protect their identities. Khan's wife says he died of his injuries in April 2023 at the age of 25. NBC News obtained exclusive footage of Khan being interviewed by a member of the 12-8 Foundation, a nonprofit which helps Afghans who worked with U.S. Special Forces. The video was recorded after he was tortured and left to die, but before he succumbed to his injuries. In it, Khan details the horror he experienced, saying he was drowned in water and beaten to the point his right lung was damaged, adding that the Taliban found him through the Retrograde movie and was still asking villagers and his family members about him.
It would have been so easy to avoid this. It would have been so easy, and Omar would be alive today. Just basic common sense.
The companies named in the lawsuit, as well as the film's director, did not return to NBC News' request for comment. A year ago, National Geographic told the Washington Post that it took down the film in, quote, an abundance of caution, adding, "We were devastated to learn of the death of one of those brave Afghans, and our heart goes out to his family."
I'm glad they took it down. I think they did the right thing at that point. Unfortunately, it was too little too late for Omar.
Last January, Thomas Kaza, the executive director of 12-8 Foundation, testified at a congressional hearing on the dangers of Taliban reprisals, telling Khan's story.
Nat Geo gave the Taliban a target package.
Kaza says there are still several Afghans whose faces were shown in the film and remain in danger in Afghanistan due to delays in a special visa program designed to help Afghans who worked with the U.S. military.
As the Retrograde became a hit in Hollywood, it became a hit list in Afghanistan.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.